Recording in progress.
than we anticipated. But welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I would like to call to order the regular meeting notice for today. Could you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Present.
Councilmember Lowe, Councilmember Shepherd Rami, here, Vice Mayor Wong,
Here.
Mayor Toll.
And for the last one, as mayor, the agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting in the following locations: City Hall, the Kroll Library, and the Stone Building. The agenda is also posted on our city website. City welcomes public input, except for over Zoom sometimes. And we'll get to that in a second. There's going to be a change in the protocol and how we handle public comment for Zooms, but we'll get to that in a minute. At this time, the public may address the city council on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the city council may not comment or discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, may be heard or may hear all the speakers clearly, please speak directly into the microphone. I would now like to ask City Clerk Walker to explain how public comments will work.
Thank you. For each item on the agenda, there will be time for public comment. We accept comments in 3 ways. First, we will take in-person comments for each item. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to me if you wish to speak on an item. There is a countdown timer displayed on the projector screen to help speakers keep track of their remaining time to speak. We will also accept comments from our Zoom participants. To give a public comment via Zoom, please utilize the chat box. When using this method, name yourself so that your first and last name are reflected for the record. If the comment is regarding a specific agenda item, please indicate which item. Comments will be accepted only until the end of the public comment period for that item. Please keep in mind that if there are technical difficulties with Zoom, the meeting will proceed as normal. The city will do its best to resolve any technical issues as quickly as possible. I will then state the amount of public comments we have received by email for a particular agenda item. Due to technical limitations associated with gathering, printing, and sorting email public comment, the city has instituted a 3 p.m. cutoff the day of a Wednesday city council meeting for email public comments. This is to ensure there is sufficient time to gather and provide the emailed comments to the city council. Any comments received after the 3 p.m. deadline will be included in the public comment record, but will not be provided to city council during the meeting.
Thank you, and I do apologize if we do want to make a comment by Zoom, but we've had to change that protocol, personally, because someone abused our Zoom situation in a recent meeting that was quite embarrassing for us all. It's presently under criminal investigation, so we appreciate your understanding as we work through dealing with these electronic issues. Does anyone here in the room care to offer a public comment at this side? At this time, if so, please state your name and address for the record.
We did receive one request from Ken Yoon.
Okay. You.
I'm here to talk about a quality of life issue. That's the homeless person living at the library across the street. Across the street from the tennis courts, the superintendent, the school district, and most importantly, the middle school. There's one RV. And the way these things, this quality of life issue often starts with one RV, and then becomes 5 RVs, and then becomes a tent city. And now is the time to help this person. He shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be near school. As I understand it, it's not lawful to park an RV within 500 feet of an LAUSD school. I'm not sure why he's allowed to park within 500 feet of San Marino school. It's not good for the community. It's not good for the quality of life for our students and our families. And it's not good for the person. The person shouldn't live in a school parking lot. I also know that there's an issue with the city owning the land and leasing it to the school / library. And I'm not sure, but I think the city needs to take a leadership position here. Because as I understand, the superintendent is done with the issue. As according to the San Marino Police Department, based upon her decision, they've considered it consent that this person has to park on school property. Since the school won't do anything, I think it's up to the city council, because I think the city owns that lot under some kind of a lease agreement. The city needs to take a lead, and if not legally, I know that there's lawyers on the council, I'm a lawyer. If not legally, then at least by just taking a leadership role, because it's not good for the school superintendent to allow a person to live on school property or school leased property. That's not working for the school. There shouldn't really be homeless people encamped on school property anyway. I think that's a poor quality of life decision for the community. But the thing is, like, I've talked to neighbors, everybody's concerned by this. Nobody thinks it's a good introduction or a good start for our city. We also heard that this is sort of an issue on the east side of town. I'm not that familiar with that, but I understand there's some issue on the edge of San Marino on the east part. And we're wondering, how can we help this person, because it's not good for the person to live on in a school parking lot either. It starts, I think, right here. We've tried other places, but it seems like no one else. Well, it seems like the library and the superintendent aren't interested in revoking the permission or taking action. So somebody needs to take a leadership role. Otherwise, it's going to be the start. And I think it's an important quality of life issue for the city and all its residents. We want to help this person, get him the help that he probably, certainly I'm assuming needs, unless maybe he's not homeless. The last thing I'd just like to say is I think it's also a parking enforcement issue. It's not safe to have RVs parked on the side of the street or block. It's not safe for making right turns or left turns. And the concern I have finally is that I understand that the overnight parking was lifted for San Marino. I think we're maybe the only city to have done that. I'm not sure if that's true, but I heard no. Okay, well, then that's not, and I withdraw that if that's not the issue. Okay, thank you for your time, and I hope that we can see this on the agenda maybe next month or some kind of action by the city.
Thank you, Mr. Yu. We have directed staff to look into this incident. And more importantly, don't believe everything you read on Facebook with respect to what's happening, because that was the issue with our overnight parking. I'm not allowed to comment, but I will make a statement. Overnight parking is lifted during the time in which kids are home from school, from college. So like over Thanksgiving, there'll be in family, well, yes. And they'll be done over Christmas as well, where it won't be enforced, right? Okay, is there any other public comment?
We did receive one via email, and I provided it to City Council. By Jonathan.
Oh, not on the same issue. Okay, yes, I did see that. Thank you. So I will close public comment.
If they indicate that they'd like it to be read, can you at least give us a summary? Give the readers at the top of it in the red line, they requested that it be read, and it's probably lengthier in 3 minutes, but would somebody give a summary of it for the record? Are we talking about the same email?
Yeah, and he has been emailing just about every.
But I just don't want the record to reflect that we did not follow the instructions. Should we have somebody ask something?
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Shepherd Rami. While not legally obligated to read the public comment, I appreciate you asking. Here we received this from Jonathan Hawes in regards to issues arising out of the city of El Monte and some issues that are currently under investigation from what this individual reports by the FBI and the County District Attorney's Office. The individual is asking us to take a position on the issue and adopt resolutions relating to actions of another city council and other elected officials.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. That will now close public comment. Do we have a city manager's report?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I would love to take just a couple of minutes. And I would like to begin again. We made some comments last month, but I'd like to, on behalf of myself and staff, thank you for your year of service as mayor. We'll get to the ceremonial matters in just a few moments, but on behalf of all of us as city staff, nearly 140 full-time and part-time employees, the past year under your leadership has been exceptional. I've been here for 6 months of those, and over those course of those 6 months, I personally have had a chance to get to know you and your leadership style, but more importantly, your passion for San Marino. All of us here as staff trying to carry forward the passion that you have, your family has had for San Marino, and trying to embody that in our work every day. We take the stride of the council. We could not thank you enough for your commitment to this organization. So thank you. Thank you. That plays into your role. Just this past weekend on Friday night, we had our amazing mayor's reception and tree lighting ceremony just across the street where the Holiday House was. I cannot thank our amazing volunteers enough, our old guard, and all of you yourself were out there, Mr. Mayor, to help build the house. Nearly all of our council was out there on Friday night. A little chillier than we'd like, but it was a beautiful event. We had, I believe, somewhere north of 1,500 people. We passed out hundreds and hundreds of hot dogs by our fire department. Our police department passed out God knows how many of their badges that evening, to little ones. We handed out prizes. It was just such an incredible showing of community spirit, a true San Marino community endeavor. So another hats off to the council for asking staff to embark on this. Hats off to our community services staff and our director Johnson for putting this together. What a beautiful event. Next, just an hour or two ago, you saw Captain Sy receive his promotion and an amazing ceremony. Chief Rueda said some incredible words about the passion and the things that the captain should keep in mind and embodies, and the weight that he carries for being out there and protecting all of us day in and day out. Congratulations to him, his family. This is just an incredible milestone for us as an organization and the representation that he makes for our community. So we're so happy for this opportunity for him and the council to get to see this evening. Just for those that are interested, we have a host of different regulations, different events and things that are taking place, holiday parking regulations, city holiday hours, as we observe several holidays coming up over the next month. Please visit the city's website to learn more about what's taking place in San Marino and how we can make sure that we're here to serve you throughout the holidays. Next, you will see, there are no pictures of this, I believe, of the sleigh run, right? Santa sleigh run on Christmas Day, not to ruin the surprise, but for those that don't know, Santa rides around town with the assistance of our fire department, another amazing San Marino item. So please keep a lookout for that, and make sure to check out our website for items related to our tree pickup, Christmas tree and holiday tree pickup policies that we can facilitate. My last item to cover, as the mayor alluded to, we have made some small changes to the way that we handle public comment through Zoom. For those individuals, as our city clerk mentioned, you may make a written public comment via writing. We are trying to preserve the integrity of our meetings, preserve individuals' abilities to comment on items, but while still respect that this is a professional environment and we are trying to conduct business. So you may submit public comment currently via Zoom in writing, and the city clerk will address those as needed. But we appreciate the public's understanding, and we hope that this will not impact our business operations and public's ability to interact with this council and our appointed bodies. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you again for indulging me, and all yours for questions.
Thank you, city manager. Motion, I will entertain a motion to waive further readings. Do I have a motion and a second to waive further readings?
So,
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd Rami,
yes,
Vice Mayor Wong,
Yes.
Mayor Toll.
Yes. The ceremonial time, it says the vice mayor is going to do something.
Well, like the city manager said, thank you for the leadership. And it was an honor for me to be your vice mayor twice. We had this title, the San Marino City Council on behalf of the citizens of San Marino, wish to express The appreciation to Mr. Steve Toth, Mayor, for his dedicated service to the city of San Marino and its residents, December 14, 2022 to December 13, 2023.
Thank you, Stephen. Just have some brief comments, primarily because I'm not really going anyplace. I'm just going down to the end of the aisle, and I have another year with Stephen to fulfill our term. But first of all, I'd like to thank the community for their continued support, their patience. While many things can be done quickly, other policy items take a while, and that's primarily to give the public an opportunity to absorb what we're doing and reflecting and comment on it. But I appreciate your patience as we continue to move forward with some policy issues. And we do a lot of things quickly and do it well. Our police department, our fire department, but other things do take some time, and I thank you for your support and patience. Secondly, to the council, I thank you for your support this year. While we may not agree on everything, we are rarely disagreeable. Other bodies can take a lesson as to how we treat each other and recognize that although that we're elected officials and it's the same people that elected us, it's the city of San Marino, we treat each other with respect in that regard. And I really appreciate it because we've gotten some things done and we've discussed it and we've argued over it, but we've always walk out of here, I think, with the continued respect for each other. To staff, thank you very much for always finding a way to get things done. During my first time as mayor, I was told too often that we cannot do something. This time around, I was never told that, and it lessened my blood pressure significantly, especially when things got done quickly. And I really appreciate the staff finding a way to get some, at times, very odd requests, but you guys have a can-do attitude, and that is really the type of city staff that I appreciate. Just as an example, there were some bike lockers over next to the Holiday House. We were looking at them the other day, and the old guard found out that they didn't belong to anyone in particular. Apparently they were bought with some grant by the city, but nobody knew the policy with respect to the use of these bike lockers. Nobody knew where the keys were. They were just taking up space. I mentioned it to our city manager, and within 2 days they were gone. Didn't have to go through a lot of red tape. Someone didn't have to sit there and argue with me why we couldn't do it. It just got done, and I appreciate that. That's the type of attitude that I've seen from all of our staff. I want to give a special thank you to Mario and Philippe, whose dedication to their job as city manager are and were remarkable, and made the job of the mayor a breeze this time around. It really did, and I do appreciate you guys led the can-do attitude, and it was reflective in just about everything that we approached this last year. And finally, to my family, Leslie, Claire, Glover, and Peyton. I don't know if any of them are online. Glover likes to pop in at times online, so but they're out celebrating the end of their respective semesters. But I want to thank them for understanding that sometimes I would miss things because, as we always said, Dad has to go play mayor. And I love you guys. Thank you very much. And it's time to elect a new mayor, and I will entertain a.
May I interrupt?
Yes, you may.
Would any council members like to share some remarks? At least leadership.
As a rookie council, I did enjoy working with my colleagues, especially under the leadership of our mayor. I have to say I enjoy being on council because of the leadership of mayor and the wonderful colleagues and the staff. And thank you, Mayor, for that. I'll continue to learn from everyone and enjoy working. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cal.
I think
Let me get that note down. Tony did everything.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. You've been an outstanding mayor in my experience, but I've had the pleasure of serving you with you on council now for a number of years, and I think you have always had an agenda that you wanted to get done as mayor, and I appreciate that you have made efforts to include all of us in achieving those goals, as well as leadership and staff. And it has made it enjoyable always. The fun part is easy for you, and I appreciate also that you've led us in directions that have improved our city. I think we're all better for it, and thank you very much for your time and the effort that you put in to do this.
Thank you, Rich.
I'll go real quick. It's been a pleasure working with you and seeing you lead. I particularly am in awe of your passion for the sense of community in the city, and I really hope that we can continue on like where you led us to.
Thank you, Tony. It's easy to be appreciative of a community that respects what we all do and is appreciative of what we all do. And also, Joe, I want to thank you. You have brought a substantial steadiness to what we do here, and your guidance has been remarkable this last year. You get all our tough issues and provide us. It's really, it makes, I think, all our lives easier, especially as mayor, that we get advice that we don't trust.
Yeah, thank you for everything. I can't believe I've been working with you for 8 years and 1 more year to go.
I know, 1 more year. Well, thank you, but now it's time to move to the next mayor, and I will entertain motion for a new mayor and vice mayor. Would anybody like to make a nomination for
Together?
What's that?
Together or
Oh,
separate?
you just separate.
Okay, so I'll move that we elevate Stephen Wong to be our next mayor for the upcoming term.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, please. Is there any discussion? Let's save that for later. Let's save that for our boardrooms. It's been motion second, call for vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd Rami,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wong,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Okay, well, the motion passes. Congratulations, Stephen. You will be- And before I give you my seat, I will entertain a motion for a vice mayor. I nominate Gretchen Rami, Shepherd Rami. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd Rami,
Yes.
Councilmember Talt,
Yes,
Mayor Wong.
Yes.
that was quick. Thank you all again. I'm just gonna move down someplace to the bottom, and we have some work to do. Stevens? Yeah. Sits the key to the.
Key to the city.
Thank you. That's amazing. It's key to the holiday house.
Actually, Mike Myers. I thought that's the retirement.
Oh, yeah, yeah, where the gold is. You know, your own. All track roads.
Well, thank you all for coming today. I'm sorry about my voice, kind of under the weather. I guess I've been very stressed about taking over. I lost a lot of hair, and my hair has turned white over the years. And I have a speech for an hour, but because of my voice, I can't really talk for that long. So you guys are lucky. So I will continue to preserve San Marino and make sure that it's financially stable and provide a very safe environment for our residents. And for the rest, please see my video from 5 years ago. My Facebook today remind me that it was on 5 years ago, exactly the same date, December 13th, I was installed as a mayor first time. So my God, what a coincidence. Anyway, I look forward to working with all of you. Please help me as much as you can. I know somebody's leaving back there. I thought I was gonna inherit a perfect team. Anyway, but still, thank you for your service and thanks to everyone. So now let's proceed. Should we take a recess so that, I'm sorry, I forgot something. It's very important. I want to thank my dad for being here today and my family. Thank you for everything. My son Austin, wasn't here 5 years ago today. I'm glad that they all made it, and I want to thank my wife for putting up with me for the past 8 years and one more year, and then you'll be seeing a lot of me. I'm sorry. Should we take a recess so that they can go to dinner, or we should continue and they can still go to dinner? Okay. Oh yeah, take it from here.
Okay. Serious? Let me get this out. What good is up here? Congratulations. That's one first. Okay.
Be careful. It's eating, so it's gonna go.
I forget to own a table right outside.
Wow. Perfect. Same.
Second. 1, 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Students back right there.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
There's one recess.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
No more.
All right, so the first one is public hearing. Item number 1, adoption of resolution number R-23-31, adopting the community development block grant project for fiscal year 2024-25. All right, Director Chung, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. The staff report before you is to adopt resolution number R-23-31, adopting the projected use of the funds from the Community Development Block Grant, also known as CDBG, program for fiscal year 2024-2025. The CDBG grant program is a federal grant program administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The city receives an annual allocation. For fiscal year 24-25, the allocation is $60,216. This is in line with what we received from HUD, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, this year as well. Per the attachment of Exhibit A of the resolution, staff is recommending $60,206 of the $60,216. We transfer $51,184 to the CDBG revolving grant fund, which will bring a total fund to $217,604. The city builds this balance to fund future ADA compliant sidewalk replacement projects. Additionally, staff is recommending the remaining $9,032 go towards senior outreach programs for fiscal year 24-25. These programs fund the senior trips, health and wellness programs provided by CSD. CDBG only allows 15% of the total annual allocation to be used towards senior outreach programs. That ends my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilmember Tolt, we'll let you start.
I have no questions. Thank you.
And Councilmember Lowe.
Oh, yeah.
Question, any question?
Yeah, one quick question. So, just, do you have a number for, in the city? What's the percentage of sidewalks that's now ADA compliant since we're.
Might have to look towards
Or is it?
public works right now. Would have to maybe research and come back.
The reason why I ask is I don't really see a lot of that redone, and that's why I'm wondering all this fund since we get this fund, are there any like since that's.
So we tend to build this fund because CDBG allows that build too, and being that the sidewalk projects are expensive once we do the construction, we tend to build that fund up, and then when it's time to program that in, we usually come to council during the budget process, the CIP project process, and we'll come to you for that allocated.
Yeah, and since that's important, ADA compliant sidewalks are very important to see, so we don't get lawsuits and all this. I just like to find out if there's still any, or what's the percentage of that sidewalks that's still not ADA compliant.
Thank you, Councilmember Lowe. I don't have the exact percentage, but a lot of what that funds would be used for isn't so much, I think you're thinking in terms of like the levelness of the sidewalks,
The reps.
but a lot of the ramps, I mean, they require truncated domes. So if you do look around, you will notice there are a significant amount of curb ramps that don't have all the truncated domes that would be considered ADA compliant. So there is a significant probably percentage. I would have to do some research to get the exact percentage to you. But it definitely far exceeds what's available just from that fund and what it completed.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cho. No questions. Vice Mayor.
No questions, thank you.
No, I don't have questions either. So I would like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, do you have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Yeah, all right. At this time, the public comment portion of the public hearing is now closed, and I will bring the item back to council for discussion. Do you have any comments, questions from the council?
No, just thank you, Director Fung for keeping us, as well as Director Shaw for keeping us organized and ahead of this as we continue to move our city toward full compliance. Thank you.
Okay, all right, now I will close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt resolution number R 2331 with the following amendment, and that is to make sure that the mayor's. I only take responsibility for it.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe.
Yes.
Councilmember Holt,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shepherd Romey,
Yes.
Mayor Wong.
Yes. And passed, new business. So item number 2, can we have a presentation from Director Chung also?
Up for you, but next item, I also do have a presentation, but this one will be a short summarized presentation for you tonight. The report for you in front of you is a receive and file. This is for the financial status report for the first quarter, which covers July through September of 2023. And let me just begin in regards to high level numbers. During this quarter, on our revenues, we collected $1.9 million versus last year, we collected $1.7 million. That was about a 12.7% increase. On the expenditure side, we've expended $8.6 million versus $8.1 million. So $500,000 higher this year compared to last year, 20%. This overall net income, when you net out revenues over expenditures during this quarter, every year, this is the lowest revenue quarter that we have. And then also our expenditures tends to be higher, being that we do pay our UAL, our unfunded pension liability, a year ahead of time to get a discount from CalPERS. So we take that to get that benefit. So we do have a higher expenditure. But I will go into a little bit more detail regards to our revenue expenditures. But over our net income, we did see a slight increase of 4.4% from the prior year. In regards to revenues. The next slide, please. On the revenues, just to touch on some of the highlights for the first quarter, as I mentioned, our first quarter tends to be the lowest on our revenues, but we meaning Mark and I, we do forecast that on our cash forecast to make sure we have adequate cash on hand to pay for some of those larger expenditures that come through. But on a high note, property taxes were 7% higher than last year. So our property taxes continues to be strong and robust, and we did anticipate in our budget about 6%, so it was slightly higher, so that's a good sign. Building permits continue to be high in the cities. It's about 80% higher than last year, so that's a big strength there. And also recreation revenues have definitely stabilized, meaning from pandemic, when we were in the pandemic, was a lot of the services were either not provided or pulled back due to the pandemic. We're seeing that most of the services have come back full service, and we're seeing those revenues come in as well. On the expenditure side, as I mentioned, we do prepay the CalPERS unfunded accrued liability to get that discount from CalPERS. And that payment was close to $3 million this year, but we do get that discount. So we do take that into consideration during this period. We do see increased personnel costs that was anticipated and reflected in the budget. And we also saw increased recreational costs, and that's just being that we are basically providing full service to the community now on the recreation side, post-pandemic. On our fund balances, on our general fund balance, we have $8.6 million at the end of September, and compared that to last year of 9.6. So we did see a decrease of $1 million, and that's really due to, and that was anticipated as we saw personnel expenses increase, and also saw overall inflationary costs that were increasing, so that was reflected in our general fund. On our CIP fund balance, we ended the quarter at $18.8 million versus $14 million last year. Even though we saw that increase, we do anticipate that CIP balance to decrease moving forward as we are finishing up that San Marino Community Center during this period of time. So next quarter, you will see that CIP balance drop and decrease. Regards to total cash and investments, it's a chart that the city treasurer and I presented to the council. Just wanted to show the council that in May of 2023 was when we had the highest cash and investments on hand at $46.4 million. And that's that blue, red bar there. And as we went into our full construction for our San Marino Community Center, we did see that cash continue to decrease, and that wasn't anticipated as we were in full construction going into the summer months for the community center. And so we ended the September quarter at $33.1 million in total cash investments. Last slide for you is just the city yield versus our LAIF and 1-year and 5-year treasury. This is just a benchmark graph that we tend to show the council. And as you can see, the most important line is the blue line. That's the city yield. That's basically how much we've been yielding in a month-to-month basis. We're close to 3.26%, a little less than LAIF, but we do anticipate that our city yield to continue to climb as the city treasurer and I have been buying more higher yield bonds and treasury agencies and also CDs. So we will see that increase as we see the green line and the purple line to start potentially decreasing. So you will see in the coming months the city yield to continue to increase and be higher than LAIF. With that said, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cho, do you have any question? No question. Councilmember Lowe? No question. Councilmember Tolt?
Just one question, Director, and that is, I see on page 44, we still list a adopted budget for the American Rescue Plan of almost $2 million. Is that some money that is owed to us by the government that we still haven't paid, or what is that for?
So this $2 million is, we've already collected that money. What we did was we put it in our separate, basically a reserve account, so that in order for us to recognize that we were going to spend this money, we budgeted it for this year. And I believe 2 months ago, it came to council regards how we're going to appropriate these funds and we were gonna pay for the public safety fund. And so you'll see that transfer eventually hit this line. So it's not that monies are owed. We've already collected that money from the feds.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I'm just going back to the end slide about the investments. And our return, because I thought, if I'm recalling, at the end of the year, we were ahead of it. Ahead of Blake or I can't remember where we were in the scheme of things. But it is also because of when certain amounts of money, like our 1 years and 5 years, RCD rates are specifically tied to a certain time of year. That are, I mean, sure, it's improving over each quarter, not at one time, but I was just interested in how this reflects what we have tied in certain existing financial instruments and how we can manage it.
At the end of last quarter, our the graph showed the money market rate at the bank was higher than lay, and it's still the same at this point. But the blue graph is not just a money market, it's combined of different things. CDs, we have agency bonds, and we have treasuries. Because during COVID, the rates were really low, so you calculate everything on average balance, and the rate is lower. This is the aggregate balance, or different rates combined.
Okay. Thank you. That helps me understand because it looked like a different chart. So I appreciate the explanation. And nice to see you, Treasurer Tom.
All right, I don't have any questions. I would like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
At this time, I bring the item back to council discussion. Councilmember Lowe. Councilmember Tolt.
I just, again, an appreciation for all the hard work that both of you do to make sure that we are financially secure. Thank you.
Councilmember Cho. Vice Mayor.
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Why don't you, I can only say thank you to both of you and Mark. At this time, I'm sorry. So do I have a motion?
I move to receive and file the financial report in the city's revenues and expenditures as of September 30th, 2020.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Tolt,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Shepherd Rami,
Yes.
Mayor Wong.
Yes, motion passed. Item number 3, again, Director Chun, I guess we want to make sure we seal a lot of it.
One more report for you tonight. This is a receive and file item for the fiscal year 2022-23's annual comprehensive financial report, or now referred as the ACFR. I do have our auditor LSL also online, and they will also have a segment to present to the council and also take questions from the council as well. So let me begin. Overall, our general fund remains healthy in that fiscal year. And I'm very proud to say that we also had 0 findings this year, and this will be 5 years in a row that we had 0 findings. Also, our historic cash, as I mentioned in my earlier presentation, hit 46.4 million during this period. It was a great sign of fiscal health. And lastly, as we ended that fiscal year, we should have approximately $2.6 million in surplus, cash surplus that the city council will be able to transfer in the future to fund additional CIP projects. And we'll be coming to you on February for that. That's that. Just wanted to highlight how much progress we've made in the past. I think this is maybe 9 years or so, but I just wanted to commend Mark. He's sitting back there, but ever since he's come on board, it's been 5 years that he's been with the city and 5 years of clean audit. So really great work on Mark's side and also finance team as well, but also reflecting We also received our first act for recognition from GFOA. It was a certificate after drafting what we drafted this together last year, and actually 2 years ago, and submitted it for GFOA's review and recognition, but we did not get that award that first year. They said, please come back next year, you're missing a few items. So we went back, and Mark and I was able to draft a more detailed ACFR, and we were able to get that recognition. It was the first time the city received that recognition from GFOA, so we were really proud of that as well. And besides the certificate, it really just shows that this report here that we generate, we don't really have to do this. We could create a basic financial report, and we have had in the past, but we felt compelled that this is additional transparency. It does take a little bit more work, but also provides additional detail for besides putting people to sleep when they try to read this, but people that actually enjoy financial data find a lot of good information in this report. So I'm really proud of this achievement that we received, but we are also submitting for our second report to be reviewed by GFOA also, and that will be by the end of the month. We'll submit that for their review and recognition. Let me just jump into some numbers here in regards to our ACFR. Our city net position, we ended the fiscal year at $203.8 million. That was an increase of $9.3 million from prior year. On the revenue side, we saw an increase of $3.5 million. That's a 10.8% increase. Our property tax continues to be strong. We also had a big increase in our utility users tax during this year. One thing I do want to note is that utility users tax is more of a one-time bump. So we make sure that we don't forecast that same growth throughout our forecasts. I just wanted to highlight that. On our expenditure side, we actually saw a decrease on our expenditures year over year, $3.7 million decrease. And really that's because we were still in this COVID environment during this time. Of course, obviously, as we were post-COVID, we won't see that expenditure decrease, but at least during this reporting period, we saw that decrease in expenditures. And we also had some departmental vacancies during this time. Our general fund balance, it did see a decrease, $17.6 million. That was about a $0.6 million decrease from prior year. But we continue to maintain our 40% general fund reserve per our fiscal policy, and which will be able to have a surplus of $2.6 million to transfer and invest into future capital projects for the city. Our pension liability, out of this whole report, I would say this is probably the biggest increase. It was at $41.6 million. That was an increase of $19.1 million. And that big increase really is nothing that the city did. It's really a CalPERS problem or an issue, being that during this period, they did not do a good job in investments. And so they passed that cost down to the agencies. That is just part of being in the CalPERS pension program. Lastly, the other post-employment benefit, or OPEB, this is the medical pension liability. This actually saw a decrease. It was $5.9 million. And that is because the council had put aside $500,000 into an OPEB 115 trust, and we continue to fund that each year, and now it's sitting at $700,000. And that's additional money on set aside as reserve. So in the future, we can dip into that reserve if we need to. So we saw that decrease in our OPEB, and also a different discount calculation. With that said, I want to turn it over to Ryan Dominant, our CPA from LSL, our auditor, for his presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate the introduction. So I do have the presentation up on my screen. Is that going to be just let someone know when to move to slide, or is that the best way?
1 second, Ryan. Our audio is echoey, and it seems like it's not coming out of our speaker. Can you give us 1 second? I just want to make sure if we can fix the audio. Ryan, can you try?
Testing. Can you hear me now? Are we good?
No, there's still a slight echo.
It's possible it's my office.
We're still hearing an echo. We're trying different setting. 1 second.
Try again.
Can you try again, Ryan?
Testing, are we good?
That was worse. Try again.
Oh.
How about now?
Yeah, that's it.
One more time.
You try one more time, Ryan?
Can you hear me now?
Well, we couldn't hear you at all this time, so could it be that
Oh, wow.
you use two devices? Ryan, you don't have two devices on you, right? Creating the echo on your side?
No, I do not.
Sounds better.
Can the council hear one thing or?
Yeah, why don't we proceed?
Yes, let's go ahead, Ryan, and continue.
Okay, not a problem. Apologies for the echo there. It could very well be my office. So again, I apologize for the sound quality. Good evening. Glad to be here with you tonight to present the 2023 financial audit. Again, my name is Ryan Domino. I'm the partner on the audit. I have been for the last 2 years. So it's my pleasure to talk about what we did and the results of it. Next slide, please. So just by a brief way of introduction, this was the core team that worked on your audit this year. Obviously myself, our senior manager, Frank North, and supervisor, Nick Parkins. We all worked very closely with Mark in particular, but also Paul in conducting the audit and preparing the reports. So next slide, please. Okay, so just by way of backstory, if you will, we have been engaged by the city to perform a financial audit for the year ended June 30, 2023, in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And so think of generally accepted auditing standards as the baseline, bare minimum level of audit that every auditor in every industry, regardless of who they're working with, has to follow. Whereas government auditing standards takes the audit up a notch and really requires additional testing over compliance with laws, regulations, grant agreements, and other additional testing that isn't required in a standard audit that you might see in the private sector. In addition to the financial audit, we also perform on an annual basis some agreed upon procedures over the city's GAN limit calculation, and we issued that report much earlier in the year. But what we want to talk about tonight is the audit itself. So next slide, please. Our audit is broken up into 2 phases. We call the first phase interim and the second phase year end. So during interim, which happened this year in May, we examine the internal controls at the city. We provide feedback to management. We perform our risk assessment to identify areas where we need to focus our testing. Obviously, in any audit, we don't test every single transaction out there. Otherwise, the audit would still be ongoing, just given the sheer volume of transactions that happen during a year. So we have to perform a risk assessment to identify those areas that might need more attention versus areas that need less attention. And based on our risk assessment, we also we plan audit procedures that will respond to those risks and really focus in on those areas that need more focus. So when we came back in September, we did what everyone thinks of as the audit. This is when you dive into the detailed testing of the account balances and the transactions. We're pulling checks, invoices, receipts, those types of items. And we're also performing compliance testing with laws, regulations, grant agreements, and contracts. So this is where a government audit takes a step up over a regular private sector audit. There's additional testing that we have to do. So once we've gathered all of those basic standard procedures, as well as any other procedures that are necessary to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, we will put together our auditor's opinion letter. And that is included as the first part of the financial section of the annual comprehensive financial report. Next slide, please. So very pleased to report, as Paul already mentioned earlier, that we issued an unmodified auditor's opinion for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2023. That is the highest and best opinion the profession allows us to render. And what it means is that the financial statements are accurate and reliable as of the balance sheet date. We also issued, in accordance with government auditing standards, what's known as the Report on Internal Control and Compliance. This letter would identify any sort of findings in internal control or any sort of findings related to non-compliance. And I'm pleased to report we had no such findings for the 5th year in a row. So congratulations to Mark, Paul, and the finance team on that. Next slide, please. So some other things that we have to generally look for and report on are outlined on this slide, and they're described in a little more detail in what's known as our auditor communication letter. But we did not identify any sort of going concern doubts. A going concern doubt would be if, as the auditors, we look at the numbers and we have this, the numbers are basically telling us that within a year or so, there will be severe financial difficulty in an agency. And I'm pleased to report we didn't have any sort of indications of that. We also identified no instances of fraud, waste, or abuse, and nothing was brought to our attention by city staff when we conducted interviews on the matter. We had no disagreements with management about the application of accounting principles, and I'll talk a little bit more about this one in a second because we had a fairly significant change in accounting principle this year. We had no difficulty conducting our audit. Everything that we requested for, we were provided by management, so we appreciate that. And we determined that any and all estimates that are used by management in preparing the financial statements were reasonable. The key estimates typically are just the pension and other post-employment benefits liabilities. Next slide, please. So during this fiscal year, we did have one fairly significant change from the prior year. And so during the year, the city changed accounting principles related to the accounting for subscription-based technology arrangements, also known as SPITA. And the city is not unique in this. Every government in the United States and Canada, for the lack of better words, they all had to implement this change in accounting principle this year. It's known as GASB 96. And so the change really comes down to GASB 96 requiring that a subscription asset and a subscription liability be recognized. So if you have the right to use a computer software for 5 years, you recognize an asset for the value of that subscription term and an offsetting liability for essentially the same amount. So what that ended up happening was we had a subscription asset being reported in the amount of about $900,000 at June 30, 2023, and an offsetting liability of about the same amount. So that is kind of the one big change from the prior year. Next slide, please. So with that, I conclude my presentation on the audit. Again, it was a good, clean audit. And I want to extend my appreciation to Paul and Mark and their team for getting us everything we needed. And also congratulations on getting your first GFOA Award in Excellence. So any questions? I'm happy to take them.
All right. Questions, Councilmember Colt?
I have no questions, but thank you very much. I just have one comment. There's a mistake in here. And the building on page, gosh, I had this out on page 80 in the introductory remarks, number 2, we opened in September 2023, not 2024. I don't know if that's going to affect your award or not, but that should be reflected accordingly. But thank you for your hard work and thank you, Mark.
I think you should tell that to El Segundo too. Councilmember, no, any question? No question. Thank you, Councilmember Cho. Vice Mayor.
No questions, but I did want to. I do have one question though. The biggest thing that is a concern is that pension liability making such a huge increase, seemingly out of our hands as a city of our size, our unfunded liability going up by $19 million to the present valuation of 41 change. And is that across the board, all cities So it's not because it's as we said, it's a CalPERS system itself that's made that a universal and then divided it, and so everybody is also impacted the same way.
It's not San Marino specific, it's CalPERS calculates that on their end. And then, of course, divvies that out to all the various agencies, how many agencies they have. It's all CalPERS, agencies that are in CalPERS that are hit with liability increase. Now, it is a liability that's spread over 30 years now. Last year, it actually decreased. So if you think about it in the 2-year span, it didn't go up $19 million if you consider last year, but because the audit itself and the act for itself is focusing on just 22 fiscal year 2023, it went up 19 million. So next year, we're hoping CalPERS or during this year does do a better job on investments. Hopefully we'll have a better return and they won't continue to lower the discount rate because that's really the big impact. Discount rate and then also the investments that they do. And that has a ripple effect, not only San Marino, but any agency that's.
All right, thank you for that explanation.
I don't have any question. I would like to open up the item for public comments. Any comments? No, seeing none. Do you have any public comments, electronically?
We do not.
Okay, comments from the council, Council Member Cho. Councilmember Tolt.
Just thank you and congratulations.
Vice Mayor.
Also, huge thanks to Director Chung from the very start. He works incredible professional and brought a lot of knowledge and enthusiasm and to raise our city standards and help us to qualify, for example, or even think about achieving the excellence that you have with the award most recently. And I know you have a wonderful staff that works with you, as well as Mr. Siegfried, as well as our treasurer, but sincerely, you have done an outstanding job for our city, and I know I'm very sad that you're going elsewhere, but I wish you the best of luck and know that you will be a huge success no matter where you are. But it's been a pleasure, and we will have difficulty filling your large shoes. But we sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I wish you the best. And thank you very, very much for taking our city. We had a kind of a rocky start when I was first on in 2017. And I know we were recovering from some past difficult, accounting reports and that type of thing. And I was just learning a bit about this world of municipal finance. But you've done so much to make it both more clear generally and always been helpful, but also to get us to the point where you're sincerely at the top in terms of our financial competency and our records and bringing us forward. So thank you for all of that. And it's a huge improvement, and they contributed all to you. Or because we have brilliant people too, that I think, but a lot to you. So thank you.
Again, better, myself, best of luck to you. Please make us proud and thank you for it. Do I have a motion?
I move to receive and file the audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2020.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Tolt,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Shepherd Rami,
Yes.
Mayor Wong.
Yes, motion passed. All right, let's move on to consent calendar. Do any council member wish to pull any item from consent? As a reminder, council members may vote no on specific consent calendar items without pulling the item for discussion. Are there any, none? Anyone? Are there any requests for public comments, for the consent calendar?
There are none.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
so moved.
Second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Tolt,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Shepherd Rami,
Yes.
Mayor Wong.
Yes, motion passed. You receive any written communication of public writings for distribution?
I have not.
With comments, is there anyone wishing to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Anyone? Seeing none, any electronically?
No.
Any future agenda items?
Just some comments that some information. Yes, at SGG meeting. So, one first item is, regarding to the Olympic that's going in 2008. And then, so one of the major hub near us will be Pasadena. So I believe, I spoke with, city manager, right? He's well informed on this, and there's certain plans, so, maybe impacted or benefit from, there's a certain for construction, there's certain traffic related issues that will take place in the next few years. So that's one item. And the second item that the information I received, there's a $500 million fund that's green energy related, and that may be used for the electric charging system. That we may be able to be, may be able to get some of those people building those charging stations, electric cars across the city. So that is looking to that. Thank you.
So for the first item, you have 2 other votes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Votes.
Well, what I was gonna suggest on the first item, I appreciate this item. What we'll do is we have been in coordination with our local jurisdictions. As we obtain more information, what we will do is we will invite the Olympics Outreach Committee and some of our local partners who are working with our police and fire department. So as we get more information, we'll try and get a special presentation from that group to come to council to inform them on what exactly is happening around LA 28.
All right. Okay, great. That won't be around.
On the second question,
that bad? Oh,
Mayor Long, just to clarify on the second request regarding EV charging stations, the question for the council, would you like to direct staff to look into grant funding for EV charging?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as long as.
Yes, I think, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any other future agenda items?
Yeah, I have one. Well, and this might just be a report back. Whatever happened to the metro money, the projects that we approved for council? There was a big battle over it. We ended up approving 2 around the school and then the redo of the Atlantic Huntington section. I know that COVID kind of had all that fall apart, but I want to know what the status of Maybe you just give me a call and I can tell you, because I know you weren't around, and our city attorney wasn't around.
I will have Director Shaw reach out to you and provide you an update.
Yeah, I don't think any of the present staff is.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Any other items? No, seeing none. Do any council members have a special adjournment?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of Rosemary Simmons, or Rary as we knew her. She was truly an incredible person to know and an inspiration to many in the community. She was our first female or woman mayor in the city of San Marino, and also spearheaded a great effort to bring our fire department further medical services. So we had an ambulance here, and to think of, it wasn't that long ago, or updated emergency vehicles and that type of certification. So our city has always been safest for our community, and she was very forward thinking in that regard. So she passed away recently, and a lot of organizations are at a loss, both here in San Marino as well as in the greater San Gabriel Valley. She was involved in Occidental College, the Pasadena Symphonies, I can't even name them all, in a hospital, Huntington Hospital, for years of dedicated service, and in many of these organizations she continued to serve up until this November. So really a woman with a passion for her family, her friends, her community. And I think we all benefited from her directly, and we will continue to do so. She really made a change in our community and in the San Gabriel Valley.
And I will join you, just, I've known Rary my whole life. Rary was a dear friend of my mother's, and they were pregnant together. So I used to joke, I've known Rary since before I was born. And she was a remarkable individual. And she will be missed by the family and her friends. She had a wonderful sense of humor, was not afraid to speak her mind on things that were important to her, but she did so in such a way as you would know that you might have just been insulted. But she was lovely, and her family is still around. But she was certainly one of a kind. She was the one that when I ran for city council, she was the one that introduced me at the kickoff party, and she did a fabulous job. She will be missed.
I would like to echo that. Actually, I had the pleasure honor working with Mary a few years ago in the household tax safety household tax committee. I still vividly remember she said that well, if you don't participate, you don't have the right to complain in the future. So I always so thank you. Should be will be missed. All right, meeting adjourned to January 17th.
January 10th.
Where will you be?
Now you're around.